which end I may try to keep this on the briefer side. Probably just finish this chapter, and I guess I'll check on what my data situation is then. I'm just not sure how much this actually uses, is the main thing. Oh wow, I just noticed that this Draco zombie has almost 100 HP. That's the second time I've almost mixed up attack and HP. It's been a long day. Yeah. If a Necro Dragon came and demanded my valuables, I'd probably hand them over. Assuming I couldn't outrun it, because even if I handed over my valuables, it was probably going to kill me anyway. Oops, too close, too close. This is exactly a kill. I do have to deal with that warrior as well, and actually fairly non-threatening Mage Knight. We'll double Samson though, so that is a thing. Oh, actually not with the Edgeworth buff. Shouldn't get an 18 speed, 19 speed, but Brave Bow only slows me down by 1. So yeah, I should be okay. Unless he gets Adept, but I mean, I'm kind of screwed regardless in that sense. Well, I flattered it with the business end of a longbow. And then called it a day. Alright, so... Warrior, the halberd. I know what I said. Didn't help me get into... Alright. I was hoping to get onto one of these forest tiles with Anna. So I don't think I have any more movement shenanigans I can take advantage of. Is definitely slow enough to be doubled by Bandit. Mage Bandit Knight. Suppose I could just rescue. Just rescue and get out. That's safe. Can't drop him because I can't drop him anywhere safe, but let's see, you're far enough away that you won't get the forest tile. Warrior won't get the forest tile. come in here, but I know she doesn't have enough power. As strong as she is, she does have good strength, fantastic strength, but the Iron Sword just doesn't have any power behind it. I don't think, yeah, I haven't used it enough to get her higher weapon level. So I suppose I could throw it out and then try to retreat if things go south, but at the same time, it's probably not worth the risk. Could also, oh, right, Arv. My Phantom Thrower. This is safe. Not sure what to do from there, but those are the forts he's going after. And you're dead. Almost. Now you're dead. Definitely dead. Strength is good. Even though this Swordmaster Anna is capable of recreating the Brave Swordmaster from Fire Emblem 4, the fact that the critical mechanic doesn't function the same way, unfortunately, just kind of makes it a bit of a lesser version, shadow of what it once was. Oh, actually, I keep forgetting that Tam actually has decent resistance and that Kirsten doesn't. That's still one of the weirdest things to me. But yeah, still trying to feed Wyvern Anna here. Alright, what's behind village number 1? Anything? Did that do anything? There wasn't even a text placeholder. Village, what do you do? Share with me your secrets. I'll be mildly upset if I picked the one wrong person to visit this village with. Only mildly. Most of the villages so far have been somewhat disappointing to begin with. So I guess I probably won't be that beat up over it. You know, it's chapter 27, but we're still... Oh, Marth. That's what I missed. I was like, suddenly I have 2 Swordmasters. Oh. Not amused. Yeah, that is one unamused Marth. This is the Carl archetype to, like, Carl was already in a very extreme case. So Carl from Fire Emblem 6 is a character that joined in the second to last chapter in the entire game, and that's only after you've already unlocked the true ending, which is another 2 chapters. So if you didn't do that, you wouldn't see him at all. And he joins at level 19 as a Swordmaster, so he can only gain 1 level. but his growth rates were across the board pretty insane. Like over 100 and everything, which meant that he was guaranteed to get every stat once, but he also had a chance at getting +2s in certain stats. But since he was only getting one level up, it didn't really change his stats too much. Interestingly, this is rather ordinary growth rates for only being able to gain 1 experience point, but his base stats are really solid, so he's still, if I need to, I can slot him in, and he will do good. He's got Luna in addition to the typical Swordmaster stuff. Which is neat. As a Lord, Marf could have gotten like Aether as well. He's only an A in Swords, which is interesting. They didn't just give him S rank, which actually kind of makes him not quite as good as Anna in that regard, because Anna's got S. I think Anna does actually beat him out marginally in some things. Like offensively, she's slightly better. But neat. But the lack of any prompt kind of made me scratch my head there, as I'm sure viewers could tell. I'm not entirely sure what to do with my flyers out here anyway. Suppose I can just kind of leave them out on the water here so they can deal with reinforcements from here if they happen, and or otherwise, if I need to swoop in and with a rescue or to secure a kill, I can do so. I can only target people that I have no real effect on. Okay. Guess we'll come back down here and continue hitting this solitary sniper. Astra. Anna's over here trying to prove that she's a true swordmaster in lieu of now having competition. The kind of performance that made a lot of early Fire Emblem fans, and well, at least early in the West, fall in love with the Swordmaster archetype, particularly probably from Carl. Speaking of Carl again, except his FE7 version, where he starts out at level 8, 7 or 8. Hello, reinforcements, as I predicted. Unfortunately, I'm not sure my flyers are strong enough to take you on. This is at least advantageous. I was hoping it might be berserkers so that I'd be able to react a little bit more to them. Is that rally movement? It is rally movement. I guess that makes Wyvern Knights have dark flyers and skill spread. That's interesting. I'm going to going to rally here. Ah, crap. That's not good. Not who I wanted to dance for. Still bolting him. I suppose I wasn't terribly likely to kill him with Kirsten anyway, but still. Do I have a sleep staff? Sleep might be helpful. Actually, have I gotten any other status stabs other than Berserk? I have not. Well, you hit hard, but I think I can defend against you. In fact, Ty is probably going to draw your attack, and I'm not going to worry about anything. Everything will go swell as long as I dance the right person. When you realize there's a wrong person to dance for. As long as Edgeworth is protected, I don't think any of my other units are really in that much danger. Arv still has Lancebreaker to protect her. Get a little free experience and staff experience. She's got an E still. I can make controller complaints because I'm not on the same keyboard I usually play on. Stoop to melee community Johns. Tam take the defensive position here. He needs the experience. And suddenly I don't have to defend that position at all, because I forgot that I accidentally danced that person, that unit. Yep. 1 damage. Ty is going to continue to try to prove me wrong about him having a difficult time getting kills between the Brave Lance and the random crits. Did I just lose audio? No, just the music got out. That's weird. Huh. Tiebreaker. Yes, give the enemies a specific skill called Tiebreaker, which is plus 50 hit, plus 50 avoid when facing an opponent named Ty. Then maybe it will be a fair match. I wonder if that is something about Jake himself. Let's see if the we got 15 Steel Lance. Alright, we kept music through that combat. I wonder if it's Air Caliber. Yes, it really does. I have so many Mage Knights, especially since I made not Arch Mage Knight as well, and he unfortunately dropped off in stats. I'm not sure why I did that. Yeah, you don't get very many Cavaliers, but you got plenty of Mage Knights, so your cavalry units, your cavalry squads generally do tend to be comprised of Mage Knights rather than Cavaliers and Paladins. And Great Knights. Oh right, I left him with the steel bow. Well. So let's see if it's his weapon. Yeah, it's his weapon. Alright, so mystery solved. And at least the music does come back afterwards. This would be all kinds of awkward if it stayed gone. I suppose I could just suspend and resume, and that should bring it back. If that were a problem to begin with. This druid hits pretty hard. I kind of want to soften you up a little bit. That might be a good opportunity to. And again, the enemy density is so high around here that if I don't bait out everyone, then I'm gonna get mobbed and it's fates all over again. And awakening. This is like Chinese knockoff Marth. You got a silver blade and a worm slayer instead of falchion. See what your palette looks like. You look like Carl, actually. Kind of. That mug, though. Doesn't even fit in the portrait space. Blaze insignia. Where's swap? Oh, the Rennek knockoff. Was it Bob? Bob has swap. I didn't field Bob though. Not that I should really feel that threatened by assassin with 16 attack, but it's more about giving the kill to, that was interesting, someone who could really use the experience, like Samson. These do overlap. Don't need to draw both of them yet. I think that might be the first character I've technically maxed This Ty is the next closest, and I think Ty is 18. Maxing out characters doesn't really happen too often in the linear Fire Emblems. Map ones where you can grind absolutely all the time, but the ones with a limited amount of resources doesn't not as common. Ha, Nosferatu only got you back one. Well, let's let Arv handle this. She's got one hit left in Shine. I probably should give her something else. Void's right there. No. Yeah, more Shine. That's not who I wanted to trade with. There we go. Man, I'm turtling this so hard. Just disappointing, but also the nature of what the map is kind of forcing me to do. Well, there was a Paladin there also, but, you know, Lancebreaker. Still waiting on the explanation for why Arv can use light magic. I have a feeling I'll be waiting for a while, though. I know I'm kind of in the middle of the stream here, but I will also make a note that since I am traveling again, not this coming weekend, but next weekend, I will, or actually it is Saturday, isn't it? My days of the week are kind of mixed up now. I usually travel on weekends, but we traveled on Wednesday and Thursday this week, so... Okay, yeah, so next week I will probably not be streaming at all because I will be traveling back home. And I probably won't be home until Saturday or Sunday. So I'm just gonna skip next week. You have Lance. We're currently in Florida, in the Keys. We have a doing some post-Irma restoration, so it's not as nearly as fun as it sounds. I spent basically all day today painting walls, not the fun kind of painting. I keep forgetting that Kaya can actually attack. I suppose probably because there's no real reason to make him attack. I might actually have to parse the two videos together from the archive. I have to do some actual editing. Oh man. Suppose it was bound to happen at some point. It's going to happen eventually. Do you guys? No. Their movement ranges do not overlap. Yay. Another level up. That's another pretty good level up too. Alright, you've got a sword. But I have sealed defense. That's not in range, right? Yeah. Sometimes it's a little tricky to judge range with a jagged coast like this. You gotta try to keep straight which tiles, which spaces that the enemy can actually walk on, which ones they can't. Another unnecessary buff. Probably don't really need Edgeworth for most of this at all. He's just kind of overkill. Part of the game that I really needed him was the early game, especially on hard mode. By the time I got him, I was steamrolling most of the enemies. Except for that one chapter with the super trainees. I really appreciated Edgeworth for that one. Oh, I just barely have enough damage to kill here. Probably thanks to that level up too. It's always nice when things work out. We have Killing Edge. That's not kosher. I guess I have Sword Slayer. Sword Slayer takes care of both of the enemies in this situation. Just continue to crawl forward, I guess. Am I being overly cautious? Maybe. But high range enemies too. Like, I mean, I guess there's 6, but most of them are 6 movement. But I don't know. The fact that they don't move until I get into their range is the other big thing. So it's the enemy composition and placement, but also their programmed behavior that's kind of shooting this map in its foot. Nope. Footnote. I don't know. Yep. Warriors spin to win. They got a nice kind of celebratory pose at the end as well. I kind of like warriors. They're not used very often because hero is almost always better. Between hero and berserker, they're the worst of the 3 in terms of stats generally, because they just kind of try to play off what fighters already do, but fighters' philosophy is already not very good for Fire Emblem in general, especially the permadeath games where the fighters are like all about high attack, high HP, but low defense, and like anything that hits a melee attacker that has low defense is generally not a great mix with permadeath. And it didn't help that many of the fighters in the GBA games also had middling or unreliable speed stats, so they're already missing out on a lot of important stat. The stat spread is kind of unbalanced there. They, like brigands, they make for very good enemies because of that. High HP, low defense means that the player gets to see themselves do big numbers in terms of their own damage. And then the enemies are basically kind of like punching bags, but that's still another killing edge. But as a player unit, they're high risk, medium reward, because you have plenty of other units that are perfectly capable of also hitting really hard, which is the warriors and fighters' main gimmick. They hit hard and not much else. Interestingly, or maybe not so interesting to some people, but Dorcas is the first fighter you come across in Fire Emblem 7. He was in Lynn's story as well, and he has apparently become a bit of a meme in the Heroes community because of his inclusion in Heroes recently, and a bit of a weird banner. But he also has voice lines that acknowledge the almost meme status that he gained from a commercial back way back when Blazing Sword was first released. It actually had an English commercial that didn't really air much, but in the commercial was a bunch of feudal warriors kind of jovially sharing a feast, and I don't remember what the main part of the commercial, what they kind of talk about or anything, but at near the end, one of the guys just kind of drops dead at the table, and they go, "What happened to Dorcas?" And someone chimes in, "Someone poisoned his mutton." And thus Dorcas and his poisoned mutton became a meme. And he made it up to like top 20 in the popularity polls for the Choose Your Legend stuff. When right before Heroes came out. Let's see here. Actually, I can use Tam. Continue using Tam here. So Dorcas memed himself into the game. And he's actually pretty good in Heroes. He's like Hector 2.0 with not limited to one movement, but still has a lot of the same boons going for him. And I still find it kind of entertaining. Not just as the way he ended up where he is, but also the fact that in his original game, Dorcas was really not that good. Originally, Dorcas was very much the quintessential fighter. He had high HP, he had high strength, he also happened to come with pretty high skill, which was nice, but he also, he had low speed, he had really low defense, and I think he had about average resistance growth. I'm talking all these about growths. He had about average resistance growth for a physical melee fighter character. So that wasn't really noteworthy in any way, but his low speed growth, his low defense was really what handicapped him, and that's what handicaps a lot of fighters in the GBA games. Um, Dorcas did fortunately at least have a decent speed base, which made him reasonably useful. He was a um, adequate axe user for Lynn's story, and early game Elwood or Hector's mode, you could make use of him if you really needed an axe and Hector was not available. If Hector was like on the other side of the map and you needed, or like I don't remember the chapter number, when you're fighting Eric on the plains of Laos, if I'm pronouncing that right. I don't think I've ever had to pronounce it out loud. But there's a bunch of open plains, and you get Urk back and Priscilla from that chapter in FE7. There's a bunch of lance enemies at the behind your starting position, and it's often a good idea, since Hector has a great defense, he's good on point moving forward. But if you want, you need to clear out those lance users, soldiers right at the beginning, because they're gonna flank you otherwise. And oh, this Phantom spawned with a killer axe. That's nice. And is fast enough to double this bishop. Not that he's gonna survive after a single hit, but might crit. Am I okay? Yeah, I'm okay with that. Oh. But yeah, Dorcas was a good choice for that role. I mean, you don't have preparation. Maybe you just get preparations menu. I think you just get preparations menu for that particular map. But you have enough slots to deploy all but like 1 or 2 people. Having Dorcas and the other fighter that comes with him, Barter, take care of those lance users at the beginning is usually a very good use. Let's see, why was the bishop exclaiming? The hero is exclaiming because he has a killer weapon. That's a warning to the player. Oh, okay, so phantoms count as monsters apparently. So the bishop's slayer ability makes all of his attacks effective damage against monsters, and when an enemy has a weapon that's effective against you, they you get that exclamation point in white. When the exclamation point's in yellow, it's a killer weapon. But white is an effective weapon against the unit that you currently have issuing commands to. Do we have any other examples? Yes, it is in Fates. I don't remember if it was in Awakening or not, but definitely by Fates. It's also in Heroes, and probably in Echoes, Shadows of Valentia. I don't actually remember off the top of my head. But yeah, I don't remember if Fates actually did the yellow for killer weapons, but that's a nice touch as well. Because killer weapons, if they kind of sneak up on you, they're kind of a rather rude surprise. Tam's going to be tanking more enemies than I was expecting this time. But yeah, killer weapons, since they have that non-zero crit rate against most targets, most of your units, if they kind of come out of nowhere, they can RNG you into a dead unit, and that's not fun. Oh, like that. Except Prin's got great defense and it doesn't afraid of anything. that hero could have crit twice and Prin would have just walked it off. That was, I believe, a glitch. They didn't quite program that skill correctly. It's supposed to do 1.5 times damage, but for some reason when it activates against the player, it does no damage. It's not the first time I've encountered it on stream either. Sure. So I am still trying to feed Anna. She's gotten, what, 2 levels this chapter? It's not bad. Not too bad. She actually has enough luck. 22 luck? That's, yeah, just enough. Sure. She's gonna take a bit of damage, but she's not in danger of dying. She can dodge that like a boss. And get a red gem for it. Apologize if you hear any of that squeaking. It's it's kind of propped up on a bed since I don't have a desk or table really anything here, and it makes noise. So I'm not sure if the mic is picking it up or not, but I figured I should acknowledge it. Okay. Doesn't make any noise if I don't move, but it leads to me getting kind of stiff after a while. This is good to get let Tam do some work this chapter. He had been falling behind, but he's caught up pleasantly so far, and he's still getting weirdly high resistance. I mean, his resistance growth is actually, I guess, pretty good. It's his highest growth besides HP. Yeah. I hadn't really noticed. Or hadn't picked up on that previously, I should say. I knew that he had higher resistance than Tim did, resistance growth, but I guess I could swap him to the Sword Slayer after this. But yeah. Fighters and warriors were largely underwhelming until Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn. Boyd and Nolan, both fantastic units. Boyd was arguably one of the best infantry units in Path of Radiance. Some would actually say he actually competes with Ike, and even if Ike is better, he's still easy second. As much as I love Nephany and Mia myself, I certainly recognize that Boyd is objectively better. Not entirely sure what I'm doing with that formation, but there's a Phantom up front in that, so it doesn't really matter. Almost done this chapter. Not sure. I kind of want a wind sword, but I also don't really have the funds for it, so I'm going to end up passing. I do need to check. Let's see. I guess I'll use Void herself next turn. Whether or not I need more Thunder Tomes. Alright. Okay. I mean, I suppose that's better than him attacking someone in melee range and risking lethality activating. He did. Yeah, I don't think his attack, even before factoring in enemy defense resistance, was even 20. I think he was one of those. All the assassins so far have had like 16 or 17 attack at most. Let's weaken you. Maybe you can give Anna another kill. As much as I think reinforcements might have spiced up this map, I'm really glad that we only got 2 Wyvern Lords out of the center. Because that would have been a pain in the ass to deal with. It might have spiced up the map, but it also would have slowed it down even more. And that's not good. We'll just continue letting Tam have his limelight. Does he have a... Yes, he does have an S in axes. So I can let him continue building up his bow ranks. Get him up to a killer bow and let him spin that bow for a change. Do have Fenrir, which is a 1 to 3 range, which I kind of like, actually. That does actually make up for a lot of the weight penalty that's on there, on the Fenrir tome. Yeah, I killed and recruited Orson, just under a different name. But yeah, here he is, still here to haunt me. I expected that. That Phantom was placed there purely for his seal defense. Yes, because Ty has maxed out luck. Luck is the only thing that directly reduces crit rates. And I mean, it's a direct plus-minus relationship. Their crit rate minus your luck. And in other FE games, you have some crit resistance on supports as well. Since this hack doesn't have any written supports, doesn't have any supports in general, it's just your luck. There might be some skills that actually influence it as well, but I don't remember any off the top of my head. So yeah. It almost seems like overkill. I know, I'll shoot him with a bow. Oh. I was just kind of plugging for some extra damage there, just to weaken him. This is a Sea's Gate. I gotta remember that Fender does have 3 range. Blitz Lance is overkill, but the Iron Lance does not have enough power. Let's see if the Dragon Spear does. Not quite. But that can be okay. Maybe she'll activate a skill like that. Otherwise, I'm perfectly okay feeding the experience to someone else, but not an issue at all. But yeah, it's not safe to longbow him. It's not really worth spending bolting either. Is this any better? Yeah, just 2, so it drops him down to 5. Is this? You have a silver bow, probably steel bow. Not even a silver bow. I'll let Jake have this kill. Not even gonna use the music stopper. That's in range. That's not in range. Good. That's in range. That wants to be in range though. Nope, that's in range. That's pretty much the extent of his gimmick at the moment. He's got a 3 range weapon instead of a 2 range weapon, so you gotta have to be a little more cautious of his attack range. I do kind of like having a lot of Mage Knights because that was not a class that is a class that I liked but never really had much reason to promote in Sacred Stones, especially since I'm not a speed runner or a low turn count kind of player, so having the movement is not as big of a boon as having the better stats and weapon triangle advantage that the Sage offered. And as far as Larachel was concerned, light magic was still king in Sacred Stones because of all the dark magic using monsters. So I very rarely ended up with Mage Knights. Now, speaking of crit rates. Wow, his HP seems really low. Like, I know I sealed his defense, so I should be doing higher damage, but only having 30 HP is even more of a pushover than I thought at first. It's like I was gonna weaken him with tie so that I could swing in with someone else and steal the kill, but that doesn't even seem necessary anymore. Let me just double check his skills to make sure he doesn't have any nasty surprises, and otherwise, otherwise that seems like a viable approach. No proccing skills, so everything that's active will be active. And that's how the combat will play out. Nothing else to do here. Don't think. It's not a visitable house. Wouldn't really need a tutorial on what units can cross water and which ones can't. Alright, I think we're done here this chapter. Actually, the Killer Lance might have one-shotted him, but that's okay. Yep, dark magic is in their notoriously long spell animations. They're actually sped up from many of their original ones. In Fire Emblem 6, dark magic animations took longer. Even all of them, Nosferatu, Flux, Fenrir. It was almost excruciating if they weren't so pretty. And yeah, they were still kind of excruciating if you had to sit through a lot of them. So, and mine. There's the ultimate sword. Mess.jpg. Gonna take a quick look, but otherwise calling it a night here. I'm kind of tired and I don't want to burden my data plan any longer. Huh. This looks... Yeah, I am all over the place. I guess I kind of have to have a flyer over here if they want to go anywhere. Excalibur, finally one that I can get to. Does everything drop? Okay, it's like, does every enemy drop something? A lot of enemies drop stuff. Oh, you're right, there aren't any physical enemies. Oh, I haven't even picked up on that yet. Alright, well, Celica I might field Celica this chapter. She's got really high resistance. She's a bishop. That's one of the few things they're good for outside of killing monsters. Now, here's the armor he has. Oops. Silver and Killer's pretty good. I'm just not sure if I'll be able to scrounge up enough resources to make any actual purchases. There is an arena here, but I'm not going to arena abuse on stream. I'm not going to arena abuse at all. It's not worth it at this point. It's Sea's Gate, so I could arena abuse if I really wanted to. Probably throwing the player a bit of a bone in case they have low-level units that they're trying to catch up someone, like I suppose I am. Especially with Edgeworth, I am kind of curious how that would calculate. Normally, enemy units that you're matched with are matched based on your level and stats to a certain extent. And in Fire Emblem 7, you could kind of game the system by using the Dancer buff, which didn't count as a normal like stat boost, like the plus stats that you see after Edgeworth does his rallies. So the buff wasn't factored into the matchmaking, so you would get units that you were able to soundly beat almost every time by using the Dancer buffs in 7 when you're arena using. Outside of that, arena was generally a lot more fair. There was a decent amount of risk involved. I remember from when I tried it before without the Dancer buff, like, I suppose there was a way, like if you compare how much the bet is, you can actually get a sense for whether the unit's going to be stronger or weaker. And then, like, if it's I think below 1,000, it's going to be weaker. If it's above 1,000, it's going to be stronger, and you could kind of like cancel out before you accept the bet, and then like spend random numbers and change it. But that seemed far even more tedious than arena abusing already was, that I never really bothered much. But I'm curious if Edgeworth's buffs would get factored into the matchmaking, but it's not something I really need to experiment with on the stream. Either way, looks kind of interesting. The spread out aspect is kind of neat. There's plenty of stuff to do. There's kind of stuff to do. It's neat that I start with 2 castles. I'm trying to seize a third. This kind of feels a little like a Fire Emblem 4 chapter, now that I think about it, but I can't place one exactly if it is an actual callback. But anyway, that is for not next week, but the week after. So we will tackle that then. Sorry about any of the lagging earlier on in the stream because of the connection problems, the connection strength, or speed is not very good here, and kind of sorted it out, but yeah, I kind of have to go back and see from the archive how bad it might have been and whether or not that part's worth holding on to at all. But in any event, sorry about that, and thanks for joining everyone, and have a good night. And see you all later.